It's a rainy fall day today, and we are done with our mowing, so we've removed the mower, and now it's time to get the tractor ready for winter, so we're going to put our snow plow on. Every year I go through the same thing. I don't quite remember how exactly it goes together, but I managed to figure it out. The first thing I got to do is put this bracket on. This supports the back end of the plow and also has the mechanism to raise and lower it as well. The trickiest part is getting this bracket attached up here because you have this long bolt. It has to go through a square spacer block with a piece of pipe in between, another square spacer block, and then it supports this bracket which raises and lowers the plow as well. So I'll see if I can do that. So I managed to get the bolt through with minimal frustration and swearing. So now I need to put the bracket on that raises and lowers the plow. I don't quite remember how that goes on either, but I always figure it out. Go something like this perhaps. So I had this bolt in loose just to support this while I was putting this long bolt through. So now that that's up, I go ahead and put this other bolt in and tighten both of them down, make sure they're good and tight. After plowing for a bit, you always want to recheck all your bolts, make sure they haven't loosened up on you. So now that we have this attached tight and everything's tight here, we'll go ahead and attach this to our touch control, which allows us to raise and lower the snow plow. This hole here goes over this pin and is held in with a cotter pin. And this bolt here, there's a spacer on the back side and it goes through this hole here. So we'll go ahead and pull this cotter pin out. I'll go there. Take this bolt out with the bushing. Go through that hole there. Tighten everything up and replace the cotter pin. As I install implements, I always look for parts that might be damaged or need replaced or might fail when I'm using it. And I noticed this cotter pin is looking pretty bad, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out and replace it. One of the best farm shop investments you can get is a Cotter Pin Assortment. I got this at Fastenal, and it has all sorts of different cotter pins. So now that I have the bracket on and the raising lifting arm, I can go ahead and put the plow itself on, which is actually pretty easy. There's a pin here that goes through this bracket here, and then this just attaches up here. Of course, easy is a relative term on a Farmall Cub dip board. So that's in. And then I'm going to start the tractor and lower the hydraulics so I don't have to try and lift this up to meet it. So now all that's left is to attach the plow to the lifting arm, and all it is a pin. And then I have a hairpin clip to secure that. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust the angle of the plow. For when I plow, I usually like to have it go off to the right, so I'm going to tilt the blade to the right. All you got to do is pull this pin out, and this pivots, and you can adjust it that way. So I pull this pin, swing this over, then reinsert the pin. So now that we have the plow on the front of the Cub, it's still not ready for winter. So next we're going to put on tire chains. These are not actually Cub chains, these are some old chains off my Kenworth. They're a little bit big, they're for 1,020 tires, but for low speed operations on the Cub, they work fine. So lay them over the top of the tire. When you put chains on, you always want to make sure that the links that are bent to attach the cross links are on the outside of the tire. If they face towards the tire, they can gouge the rubber. So I've already hooked the chains together in the back, so now I'm just trying to get some of the slack out, and then I'll hook them together in the front. Then I'll flip it around and then take a little bit more slack out, and then string some line across to hold everything tight. Now that we have the plow on the front and the tire chains on the rear, we're almost ready for winter, but we still need to check our antifreeze to make sure we have good enough freeze protection. So to test the antifreeze, I'm just using a simple coolant tester that you can get at auto parts store. You just use it to draw some coolant up, and then you can check the freeze protection based on the number of colored balls that float. So I definitely have 3 that float right away, which gives me freeze protection easily down to -10, and eventually all the balls do come up, so I'm pretty good for the winter, I think. So now that the plow's on, the chains are on, the coolant's tested, all I have left is make sure that I have the gas tank topped off, and I should be ready to go.